Hey guys, so we're headed to do a shop day. Chris and Metal Pete are both coming, and possibly Tommy. I've invited everyone, but those are the only ones that I know about. Tommy has said maybe. Metal Pete is definitely coming. Chris is definitely coming. Anyhow, I keep saying I was going to tell you the story about how I got the fan with those stained glass shades, and I keep forgetting to do it. So now is as good a time as any. So you'll see that fan in my videos tonight. It's in my back seat. I don't know if you can see it. It's a, yeah, you can. It's right there. It's an Emerson Casablanca Classic ornate in antique brass. And I love Emerson Casablanca Classics. I love them ornate. I love them even more in plain. The ornate ones, I think brown brass is still my favorite. I mean, it's just that, it just looks right for those. I don't really like the white and brass, and I'm cool with the all brass, and be great to find a copper one or a pewter one. I keep calling them nickel because that's what they look like to me, but the catalog calls them pewter. I'm kind of over the white and brass ones. But yeah, so that's it's an antique brass one. It was on the Craigslist, the Madison Craigslist, not more than like 10 minutes from my house, and it got posted on Easter Sunday. And I saw the listing, and I sent them an email. And as I usually do, I included my phone number in the email. And then I saw that they also had a phone number on the listing, so I sent them a text. And sometimes I'll try to just do one or the other. Sometimes I'll try to do both just to make sure they see it, because some people check one more than the other. Usually, if it's late at night, I'll send an email and then I'll text the next day. Otherwise, I'll just text or call, or, you know. But I've never had a problem before with doing both, because I put my phone number in the email so you can tell it's the same person. So I get a reply back to the email, and I put in the email, I said I can pick it up tonight or tomorrow, because I think I had to go out of town, or I had to do something on Tuesday, and it was Easter Sunday, but I was free after Easter dinner, and I was free all day Monday, I think. And so I put in the email, yeah, I can pick up whatever. They didn't reply to my text, but they did reply to my email, and they said in the email that they've gotten multiple inquiries about it, and so the price was now $75. It was listed for $35, and price was now $75, and if I wanted it, I could still pick it up, and I was like, no. So, I don't know who all those inquiries were. Some other collectors had talked to me about their interest in it, but they were all out of town, and I don't think any of them had gone so far as to contact and ask about shipping. Anyhow, so, you know, I reply back to the email and say, you know, because it was listed for $35, and I normally don't pay any more than an item is listed for. I just feel like that's bad form, and it's somewhat dishonest of the buyer or the seller. But I said I'd pick it up for $40, just because 35 rounding up to 40 is basically the same thing to me. So I kind of bent my own rule a little bit. I said I'll pick it up for $40, otherwise no thanks. And they said no thanks. So some time passes, and I see that the listing hasn't been pulled. And I email them and say that, and I don't think they ever replied to my text, come to think of it. But I could be wrong. And I noticed the listing hasn't been pulled. It hasn't been renewed or anything like that, but it hasn't been pulled. So I email them again and say, hey, my offer for $40 is still good. And they say no thanks. So, either that or they don't reply. I'm trying to remember now, because this is stretched out over since Easter. And I remember thinking at some point at least, I was like, okay, it must have sold. Somebody must have paid them more money. But I was like, who else would pay that kind of money for a vintage fan? Even though it did look nice with those stained glass shades, and the picture where they had it installed made it look like a very classy fan. I mean, I could see why somebody who's not a fan person might want it, but even so, it just seemed really unlikely that somebody would then turn around and pay their higher price. So, there's a lamp on the side of the street. Is it a vintage lamp? Nah, it's not a vintage lamp. Lamp. That's from Parks and Rec. I wish you were a lamp that would light up when you were touched. So my wife always, now that I've been messing with lamps, always does that to me, and she does, I love the lamp, Brooke Tamlin. So, anyhow, I'm trying to back in with one hand. I'm not the best backer. That's what she said. Because I have no depth perception. So, anyhow, let me just get backed in here. I got a lot of fans to unload. Okay, I'm kind of off kilter because I'm trying to do it with the phone and such. So anyhow, at some point I think the fan's been sold, and I just write it off, and really, I'm not that upset about not getting the antique brass. You know, if it was plain, I'd be really upset. But it's not. So I'm not losing any sleep over it. Really, the main reason I want it was for the shades, because I thought they'd be perfect in the foyer. But at the same time, my friend is still supposed to be sending me those slide glass shades, and I like those better, although I'm not sure that I like them better on that fan, in the foyer, etc. But just if you, like, put one shade next to the other, which one do you like best? I like the slide glass. So, yeah, so I'm not losing any sleep over it, but it's kind of peculiar. And, so, fast forward to this past weekend, and I see that they've renewed the listing. So I'm like, okay, I guess nobody bought it after all. And, I guess nobody bought it after all. And, so I reply to their original email and say, hey, my offer's still good for $40. And then I send them a text because because the new listing is up, and so I've sent them a text in reply to the new listing saying I'm interested when I can pick up. Figuring that since this email doesn't have my phone number on it, they might not even realize it's the same person. If they do, oh well. So they reply to my text first and say you can pick up later tonight, whenever. Then, and I'm like, oh no, we go back and forth text for a while, and they're like, but we need you to call. We need to talk to you on the phone before we tell you where you can pick it up or anything like that. And that's not that abnormal to me, because a lot of people are like that. They want to make sure you're not a scammer, and they feel more comfortable when they talk to you. So that doesn't bother me. So but I'm in church, and then after church I was doing something. I don't remember what. So I'm like, okay, I'll call you later when I get done with work. And meanwhile, so a couple hours after that, they reply to my email and say, hey, we have somebody else interested. Do you want it for $45? And I ignore their email at this point. And by this point, I've called them. They didn't answer the phone. And they're clearly waiting for me to reply to the email because they want that additional $5. So I don't hear from them at all the rest of that day. I call them a couple times, no response. They get back to me the following day. Keep in mind, they've already told me they were free anytime Sunday or Monday for me to pick up. So they finally get back to me on Monday. I make plans to go pick it up on Monday. Then on Monday, they're like, we have to change plans. Can you pick it up on Tuesday? I said, actually, I'm going out of town Tuesday. And they said, okay. But I'm back in town Wednesday. And they say, Wednesday's no good, and so on and so forth. And long story short, because this has dragged on too long, is that eventually I get back in town early on Tuesday. I go pick it up. I go to their address. It's a just beautiful house right on the lake. It's lakefront property, but it's a very small house in the lake. Like every other house in that block is huge. And then there's this tiny little house that's probably smaller than where my wife and I are living right now, but it's gorgeous. Like, it's craftsman style. It's clearly a really, really nice house, but it's small. And I get there, and the person that I've been emailing with is named Judy, but I'm dealing in the, come on, dollies. What are we caught on? But I'm dealing with somebody named Sam, I guess is the husband and wife. And he sounds on the phone like he's 100 years old. But dealing with him in person, he's probably younger than my dad. But he's got a voice like a really old guy. and he just reeks of red wine. Like, he smells like he's just bathes in red wine. So, but he's very nice, and despite having promised to have the fan down, of course it's not down, but we get the fan down. That's not that big of a deal. And I never see the woman. So, you know, that was the story there. I only told that story publicly because a lot of people would ask me about that fan on the Craigslist, and I'm like, somebody else must have got it. But I ended up getting it in the long run, so yay me. Yeah. That's that whole story, so we're going to do as many fans as we can today. I'm going to start as soon as I get a chance. I'm gonna, yeah, because there's so much crap. Oh my god, I can't even walk in here. So, okay. Thanks for watching.